Do you think there's something that's holding you back from performing consistently in pickleball? If yes, then keep watching this video. We'll talk about 3 big problems that keep many players from becoming the players they want to be. The bright side is that these issues are fixable and can be remedied immediately. Sadly, many people don't realize that their own lack of self-awareness is a major cause of their inability to overcome these obstacles. Don't worry, because we're going to tell you how to fix all that today. Now let's get right into the video. Factor number 1, lacking preparation before the game. First thing that holds many back is that they aren't really ready. When I say unprepared, I mean that they're not ready mentally, physically, or emotionally for the game or practice that's about to happen. There's a lot of things to think about during a pickleball game or practice, like the weather, the speed and spin of the ball, your opponent's shot, your footwork and shot, and so on. If you're not 100% there, it's likely to be a problem, especially if you're playing or drilling with people who are stronger or well-matched. If you're not ready in all these ways, here's what will probably happen. The game will start, you'll play a few bad points and make some silly mistakes because you weren't ready in some way to begin with. Then, that will make you mad, so you'll play a few more bad points. You start to feel bad because you're disappointing your partner, which probably won't help you play better. So, a few more points are gone. Before you know it, the whole game is over and you're mad at yourself because you're so much better than how you just played. Do you recognize it? I'm sure it does, since it happens all the time, often enough for many of us. The truth is that you've already lost before the game even began. There's a lot of things that can cause this, but most of them fall into one of 3 categories. You weren't ready for this game or drill session, either mentally, physically, or emotionally. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or maybe you didn't drink enough water, or maybe you didn't eat enough during the day. Any of these things will definitely slow you down and catch up with you during a game. Even if you start out strong, you won't be able to keep it up because your physical resources will keep running out, which will hurt your game. Maybe you got into a fight with your spouse's friend, a coworker, or your kids on the way here, and you're feeling upset. This makes it hard for you to focus because you're worried about what will happen. You might come to this game with a bad idea of how it will go because your opponents are strong. You have self-doubt and let your mind wander aimlessly, showing yourself over and over again how you missed shots. This makes you feel like a loser before you even get to the court. If you have an important game coming up, whether it's for fun or for money, it's important to get into good habits in these areas so that you can do well in games and play of any kind. Things like making sure your bags have everything you need the night before, getting enough sleep every night, staying hydrated, eating regularly, and bringing snacks with you. Since these things add up, it's important to keep working on them all the time, not just the night before or the day of. You have to do these things every single day. If you're dealing with something emotionally or in your day or life that can't be fixed right away, like many of us do, recognize it ahead of time and decide to put it out of your mind for now. Give yourself this time and space so that you can play the game you love. Don't get to the courts thinking about how you're going to handle it right up until you start hitting the ball. Set aside at least an hour before you play and protect that time and space by getting your body and mind ready for your game. Now, before we move ahead to talk about more game-changing pickleball tips, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that we can keep bringing more informative pickleball content to you. Your little contribution means a lot for us. Factor number 2, having no plan. Another major barrier for many players is that they are frequently unintentional. What I mean is that when you get out there, they usually don't have much of a plan. When you first start playing pickleball, you just have fun hitting and chasing the ball. You're learning the rules, the score, where to stand, what to hit, and so on. Your main goal is to get the ball as much as possible over the net and into play. That's a great way to start. Soon after that, when you've started to get a handle on things, you start to see that you can, so to speak, direct traffic. If you hit it over here, your opponent tends to hit it back with this shot. If you hit over there, they tend to hit it back with this other shot. You start to realize that you can control how play goes. That's when you start to see how strategy has a big effect on how the game goes. You should start to be more aware and deliberate about who you are as a player. Write down what you're good at and what you're not so good at. Figure out how to play this game so that your strengths match up with your opponent's weaknesses as often as possible, and your opponent's strengths don't match up with your weaknesses as often as possible. You have a lot of power over that. That's a big step towards making your play more deliberate. On top of that, you want to think about how you can help your partner do that too, and how you can make the most of your chances as a team, so that your chances of winning these games go up by a lot. You should really study the game and pay attention to what works and what doesn't when you play with this person or that one, or against this or that person or team. You want to see what happens when the puzzle pieces are changed and when partners and opponents are switched. Every time you should look at all the factors and make a plan of attack. You don't want to be a pawn and let the other side decide what will happen. Know what you want to do and make it happen by being there. Focus all of your attention on carrying on what you think is the best plan. Don't wait for something to happen. Your future depends on it. Factor number 3, unwillingness to do what is required. Lastly, your awareness of areas where you may not be willing to do what's needed to make the next breakthroughs in your game may be holding you back, as it does so many others. You might know that you need to drill more, but you don't. You might know that you need to work on your backhand because it gets picked on all the time, but you don't. You might know that you need a soft game because your hard-hitting style doesn't work against better players, but you don't do it. If you want to become the best player you can be, you have to make the time to do the things you know you need to do to get better. You can't just hope, wish, and dream that if you play enough fun games, it'll eventually go away and get you there. There's no way that'll happen. You have to be willing to do the work and pay the price. You can't get away from that in life or in pickleball. Willingness is what really ties all these limits together. Are you willing to be ready physically, mentally, and emotionally when you get to the court? Every day you need to set aside time and space to make sure these things are in order. Are you willing to have a plan for each game that will have to change depending on who you're playing with and against? Are you willing to take an honest look at your game and work on what needs to be worked on? If you want to get better, you have to be ready to do the things that will help you get there. It's okay if you don't really understand what these things are. Are you willing to hire a coach to help you along the way? And most of the time, if you want to do something, nothing can stop you. Be ready, know what you want, and be willing. This will help you take your game to new heights. So, do you relate with any of these pickleball constraints? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow picklers. Also, if you love pickleball, then make sure to watch this next video on our channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.